Hi, in this video, we'll go through the journey of a user who has signed in. So in our previous videos, we saw that a user who has not signed in when he reaches gonabu.com, he's prompted to sign in or create a new account at certain actions. So let's say once a user logs in to his profile or creates a new account, this is the landing page for him, or in other words, it's the home page for a signed in user. So you can reach the home page by, of course, clicking on this logo icon and also clicking on the dashboard. So this dashboard and this logo takes you to the same home page. So what is the dashboard now? So here you can see that you have some cards here. So this particular page, which is the dashboard, is nothing but a summary of what's going on in the user account. So here you can see you have some upcoming private lessons. So you have different lesson cards. And then there are some lessons which have a rescheduling request. There are some lessons with both rescheduling and location change request, and this is the normal lesson. And then you have an option to view all. So of course this section is only showing, let's say, recent 3 or 4 private lessons, but if you want to see all of your private lessons, then you can actually click on view all. Similarly, you have a section which is a summary of all the classes that are upcoming for this user. So you have these two cards for the two classes, and you again have a view all link, so you can also see other classes for this user. So in this home page, you can see this is the area where you have all the cards, and then you have a side navigation bar as well. So you have this dashboard, which is essentially the same as logo or the home page as we previously discussed. Then you have this edit profile page. So let's click on edit profile. So here you can see you have some very basic profile elements for this user, because this is a user who's not a tutor yet, right? So we don't have a lot of information, or we don't maintain a lot of profile elements for this user. So we have a very basic profile structure where you have the name, you have a small about me section, contact info, gender, and let's say if they want to change their password, so you also can do that using this page. Okay, so this was edit profile, and then if you go to my classes, you reach a more comprehensive view of classes. So in the dashboard, we saw that we had, let's say, a couple of classes here, but we did not show all the classes, right? But here you had a view all section. So basically, if you click on view all, or if you click on my classes from the sidebar, you reach the same destination, which is the classes page. So here you have some upcoming classes. So you have different class cards for it, and it's of course a, like a infinite scroll sort of a situation. So let's say if there is a user who has hundreds of classes, he would be able to scroll infinitely and not, let's say, have a pagination sort of an approach to browse through all the classes. Okay, so this is for all the upcoming classes, and then you have here a checkbox for past classes, right? So let's click on it. So past classes means that these are the classes which have already been in the past. So these are maybe were already taken by the user, or booked but later on cancelled by the user, or whatever. But these are, let's say, so to say, the archived classes for this user. And if you come to the upcoming classes, you can see there is actually a button, a cancel button, so a user can actually cancel a class. So let's say if I'm not able to make it to a particular class, then I can cancel it before I think 10 hours before the class starts. So that's the constraint that we have on cancellation, that you need to cancel at least before uh, like at least before 10 hours, right? So let's say if you decide to cancel, then this is a pop-up that prompts, and then you can choose a reason for your cancellation. So let's say in this case it's my schedule doesn't permit, and you put in some comment, and then you can actually cancel your class, so that class gets cancelled. And then you also have yeah, so you have the attendees, you have location of the class, you have the title, you have the slot of the class, and this is basically a timer as to how much time is left for the class, right? And then this is it for the class section. And then if you see in the past classes, you can see that there is no cancel action, because of course if it's a past class or if it's an archived class, it doesn't make sense to cancel it. Okay, and then if we move on to the next section in this navigation, so you see my private lessons. So if you remember, we have two sorts of engagements, right? One is via the classes, and second is via private lessons. So all the bookings via classes actually were already shown under this, and second kinds of second kind of booking is basically the private lessons. So again, here you have some broad level filters. So you have lessons with open requests, upcoming lessons, and past lessons. So let's say in this case we have selected these two checkboxes, and it shows you lessons in card format, and it shows you some prompts on the card itself. So it shows that, so these two things here show that, okay, for this particular lesson you have a rescheduling request pending, and also you have sent some requests yourself. So even those requests are something you can check if you go into that lesson. And for this one, you can say you can see that you have sent some requests, but there is no request pending on your side. For this one, there's a location change request pending, and for this one, it's a normal class. There's no request pending from your side or the tutor side, and just shows the timer for the class. And then again, this is also similar. So maybe let's start to go to different classes, all these classes that we discussed, and see how exactly does a particular lessons detail page looks like. So let's say if you click on this one, you see that this is the lesson page. So you have ID of this private lesson, which is like an order ID in, if you compare it to e-commerce. And then you have lesson name, you have location, and then there is an action link, send location change request. So you can basically click here and you can select the location if you want to change it. So let's say you had booked a lesson with this particular location, but for some reason you are not able to go there, so you would want it to be online. So you can click on online and then send that request to the user, sorry, to the tutor. Okay, so this is location change request. Then this is rescheduling request, which is basically, let's say if you had selected these two time slots for the 2 hours of this lesson, you can actually change your time slot. So you can click on this one, let's say, and this one gets cancelled, then you select another time slot for that hour, and then you can send a request again. And then this one is basically you send some requests, and you can check the status of the request that you had sent before. So let's say you had sent one location change request and one schedule change request. So you can also cancel your request. Let's say if you eventually decide that, okay, the previous slots were fine, then you can cancel your request. Of course, you can only cancel up till, let's say, so yeah, so in this case you can see that status is rejected. So let's say if the tutor or the other side of your lesson, let's say if it's a tutor, for them other side is user, and for the user it's tutors, the other side, right? So if they have already taken an action on a request, then of course you cannot cancel it, because cancellation can only be done on open requests. And for a request which has already been approved or rejected, it doesn't make sense to to have cancellation, right? Okay, so here you can see you have these three main action points, and then also you have cancel lesson itself. So again, we have a policy that you should be able to cancel a lesson 10 hours before the start of the lesson itself. So let's say if you do it, then basically you will again fill up your reason for cancellation, put in some comment, and then click on cancel. Okay, so this shows the request card. So this means that the other side or the other party, as we previously discussed, so in this case, because it's a student, other side is tutor. So the tutor had sent a rescheduling request, which says that these are the new slots that they want to have. So you can either accept or reject it. Now, how does the request framework work? So how it works is, let's say if you send a request, or if the tutor sends you a request, it doesn't change anything in the lesson details. So your schedule is still the old one, your location is still the old one. But when they have sent you this request, and if let's say you accept this one, then the whatever has been suggested in this request would actually become details of this lesson. So schedule or the location, the current schedule and the current location of any lesson is basically uh, it's something which comes from the last accepted request, right? So for example, let's say you accept this request here, then this becomes the new schedule, and then let's say you again send another rescheduling request, and then the tutor accepts that, then that becomes the new schedule of this lesson. So that's how this whole framework of schedule and lesson details work. And then here you can see there's a small chat within the context of this lesson itself. so you can chat with the tutor and vice versa. So it's a very simple chat. There's no emoji, no attachment, nothing, just that you have a textual chatting feature here. Okay, so this was about the private lessons here. Maybe we go over some more. Yeah, this one is interesting. So in this one you can see everything is same, but here you have a new card, right? So what this means, so basically this is a lesson which is online, so the location is online here. What that means is that for online lessons you would actually need a link to go to for video conferencing, right? So the tool that we try to use on this platform is Google Hangouts. So how it works is at the start of the lesson, tutor will actually create a Google Hangout link, and he or she would actually send it to you via this interface. So on the tutor side of things, there is actually a provision to send this link to you, and once the tutor sends it to you, you have this card here, and then you can actually click here, and this is nothing but the same link that the tutor has inserted for this lesson. Okay, so next if we go, yeah, in this case, I mean, it's very similar, just that the only difference is that here you have two requests. So you can have actually multiple requests. Everything would appear in the form of a card, and then here you have the chat section. Okay, and let's say if it was an online lesson, there would be three cards. So one for this request, one for this request, and one for the previous click here to start session card. So these three cards would be there. Okay, so yeah, and this is again another example. So let's say it's an online lesson, but the tutor has not yet inserted any link there. So in this case, you would actually not see the button to click on, but you would see that no link has been created, right? And then everything else is quite similar. Yeah, this is just a normal vanilla request. Yeah, there's nothing new here. Okay, yeah, so I think we covered this part. Then let's say if you click on past lessons, so these are basically the lessons that you have already taken. And of course, if there are lessons that you have already taken, you have a provision to leave a review for that particular tutor, right? So let's say if you click on leave a review, you can fill up a star rating and leave a comment for the tutor, and it would actually show up on his or her profile. Then my transactions. So transaction is anything where let's say there is some monetary exchange happening. So it could either be a booking, it could be a refund by you, it could be for a class, it could be for a private lesson. So everything where money is involved to and fro, so you debit or credit from your account, everything is actually recorded here as a transaction. So this is basically your detail of how you have actually interacted on the platform, how you have transacted on the platform, how many bookings do you have, how many refund requests do you have, everything comes in here. Okay, so I think we covered all the side navigation elements here. So these are the 4 or 5 elements that comprise within this user, like within the user profile. And then other things are very similar to what we already discussed, but maybe let's go through it again in the next video.